What's going on, guys? Steam's had a hell of a year with being forced to make changes and actually making changes to protect the people that use it. And I'm not being facetious here. I do literally mean Steam is trying to defend its customers from the terrible companies that screw us every chance they get. And I'm not even joking. How many times has Ubisoft bought out some studio and then had the studio keep making the games and then nuke the studio? I mean, just look at all the Assassin's Creed franchises, all the canceled DLCs and the season passes. I mean, look at what Sony did to us with Concord. Well, what they tried to do, but we openly rejected them, didn't we? But that's my point with this one. Is Steam is out here trying to protect us from shitty companies, and I absolutely love it, even when the government's trying to screw Steam. And yes, I know one of the articles is a little bit older and one of them is relatively new, but I do have the two articles here. We're going to talk about those because I think they both are intertwined and affect Steam to some sort of degree. But we'll talk about that. We'll break everything down. We'll figure out what's going on. But I absolutely think Steam is doing its best, regardless of what governments are trying to do to it. So here we go. Steam has changed its policy on DLC content and season passes, so now players are entitled to proper compensation if future plans fall through. And we're going to jump over to this little snippet right here. Delaying or canceling a DLC in a season pass. So they say, we understand that game development doesn't always go as planned. Boy, is that ever the truth. If you think you aren't going to be able to release DLC in the season pass by the quarter you promised, we allow you to self-reschedule the release date one time only during the season pass. You can pick up a new date up to 3 months later, up to 3 months later than you originally selected. For some reason, you delay more than that, you have to ask Daddy Steam for permission. I love it. I love it because that easily sums up, hey, you have a DLC. It was supposed to be on this date. Where is? Oh, it's delayed. Well, delayed how long? 6 months. That's not going to fly. Refund the money. And with all the DLC that's dying because these companies are making terrible decisions, like I don't know, let's just pick a random one here. Kill the Justice League. All the people that bought all those season passes, they have to come out on time or Steam will refund you that money. And I think that is the way it should be. Instead of these developers going on, well, we'll give you DLC eventually, just give us money now. No, you're promising us a product. Give us the product. Well, we'll get to it eventually. No, you're going to give them the money back. Fantastic. I love it. And then that stops developers from saying, hey, just purchase season pass and we'll tell you what you get later. It says, no, you already took their money. You have to give them a date and you have to tell them when it's going to be out. And if it's not on that time, it's going to be refunded. I mean, could you imagine going to like a restaurant and you order an appetizer and then you order your actual meal and they bring you the appetizer and they say, well, you've got to pay for the meal now. And then they just never deliver the meal. That restaurant would go out of business so fast. But for some reason, these game development companies, because they have so many bootlickers, have been doing this for so long. I honestly believe Steam is going to set the new gold standard yet again on what game developers are supposed to do. But anyway, they go on. If you cancel a DLC in a season pass, customers will be offered a refund for the value of the unreleased DLC. Fantastic. What's the note say? Under the Steam distribution agreement, you have provided a warranty to Valve that your DLC will conform in all respects to the descriptions provided to the customers, including promised release dates. So if you promise something and you take that promise away and you put out something different, it sounds like Steam will issue refunds for that as well. Even if there's not yet been a customer complaint, Valve may take action if you delay DLC more than a quarter, 3 months beyond the release window. So nobody even has to complain. You just literally have to annoy Steam by not doing what you promised, which it shouldn't be that hard. And they even give you multiple outs. Hey, you can reschedule it for another 3 months. And quite literally, let's break down this time frame. Quarter one goes from January to March. You could in theory, say you're going to promise it in quarter one. You have 3 months. If you plan it for January and you don't get it done by March, you go to Steam and say, hey, I need to delay this by another 3 months. Those 3 months go by, it's not released. Now you're 6 months late on DLC that people have already paid for. Paid for. Yes, they should absolutely have the refund. Actions include removing the season pass from sale in Steam. That absolutely. Refunding all customers who purchase season passes for the value of the unreleased DLC. Absolutely. Or allowing customers the option of refunding the entire season pass. For purposes of refunds, the value of unreleased DLC will be decided in discussion with Valve. Valve may also take action if your season pass content is not released after 1 year has passed. Wait. If your season pass content is not really released after 1 year passed, actions may include refunds to customers and removing the season pass from this. Am I reading that wrong, or does it sound like if you promise a season pass and you charge people for a season pass and no content comes out for that year, even if it's a year season pass, they're refunding the money? That sounds fantastic. I love that idea because that stops every single one of these companies from saying, we're gonna give you a new season pass. We don't know what's gonna be in it yet, but here's the season pass. And then nothing ever happens. Absolutely, somebody should get their money back. And even that stops situations like this because I was actually excited for Homeworld 3. I have Homeworld 1 and 2 and the remasters. Yeah. 1, 2, the remasters, Deserts of Karak. Yeah, I love the Homeworld series. The Deserts of Karak wasn't that great, but I still love Homeworld. So, yes, I'm a little bit of stumped for that. Shut the fuck up. But, I mean, this game came out. People were playing it online. The story was nothing but DEI propaganda. The game was absolute garbage. The mechanics were garbage. Nobody liked anything about it. And you can see that in the reviews. All reviews. 4,780 mostly negative reviews. And you start going down to the actual reviews. We just got told that the game will no longer be supported from November 19th. I spent $100 on the collector's edition and season pass, and it looks like we won't be getting any of what was promised. This is exactly why Steam is doing this. For these kinds of comments where people are paying $100 for a company because they're promised something and they never get it, and the company's just like, haha, thanks for the money, fuck off. Like, no, you don't get to do that anymore. There's another. Blackbird Interactive and Gearbox Publishing working together have released the worst case scenario when it comes to a sequel. They took a once great game that had such great potential and gave us a B-movie version of what should have been a blockbuster. I mean, I don't think you'd believe me if I told you. Let's look at the Steam DB for Homeworld 2, which is a remaster, and Homeworld 3. We're going to do that because I think this is going to sum up how bad they botched this game. So this is Homeworld 3. Players right now, 161 all-time peak, 9,153. Okay, this is a game that came out 7 months ago. Let's hop over to Homeworld Remastered. 155 players right now, 17,790 peak. And this is a 10-year-old game. The 10-year-old game is doing better than the modern game. And this is what people are complaining about. This is why they don't want to buy these season passes. And if they do, they want some sort of guarantee, which is why I absolutely love that Steam's doing this. I think it's a fantastic move. And I think it's going to change the way the game industry works because now you're protected on Steam. You may buy from the Ubisoft store or the Origin store, Microsoft, whatever the hell they're calling it now. And you won't get this refund. You won't get it at all. They'll take the money and run. But now if you do it through Steam, you are guaranteed something, either your money back or the game you paid for. And I did say at the beginning of the video, this was going to be a mix because there's another thing with a bunch of Steam changes. And I want to talk about this one because I didn't cover it when it happened because I wanted to see how it all played back, if there were going to be appeals or anything like that. There's nothing I've seen. So we're going to talk about Steam now warns customers they're buying a license, not a game, before you continue to payment. Well, I know some of you have probably seen that on Steam. If you haven't, you just haven't been paying attention. It's totally there now. 100% happens when you add something to your cart and you go to checkout. Steam has to warn you that you don't own the game. And this is all thanks to Gruesome Newsome. The game developers can hide it in their end user license agreement. They can hide it all they want and nothing happens to them. But if you're like Steam, you have to tell people before they can check out they don't own the game, which almost makes me think that this is targeted against Steam, the largest library of games for anybody to play that has the most support. Now has to make sure you're aware that the game companies aren't selling you a game. They're selling you the license to use the game, which I think is actually kind of a good thing, because it's a nice little reminder that Steam has to slap you in the face and say, don't forget, you don't own this game. The developers will take it away at any time. And look, Steam has done wonders at making sure that doesn't happen for a lot of cases. I mean, you don't believe me? Go look at the game Hatred. It's called Hatred. Go look it up. How many times people are saying this needs to be removed from the store because of how gruesome it was and how terrible it was, and Steam was like, no, we're not taking the game away from people. And this is before they were large. This is when they were small. They were still fighting for the people who actually paid for stuff. Now, whether this happens when Gabe's gone, who knows? But for now, we do have a champion for the gaming community and the gamers themselves, not these bootlickers who will get on their knees quicker than Destiny to suck off game companies who they think can do no wrong when they do nothing but wrong. All right, now I know it sounds like I'm polishing Steam's balls here, and I might be doing that just a little bit, but that's because Steam is doing right. Steam is doing the right thing. And I hope that Steam does so well that all the other libraries and developers and publishers that have their own little libraries start doing this. There's a reason Steam is the largest library with the most users. It's because they have the best customer support ever. There's no questions asked. You played a game for 2 hours, send us the refund. And look, Steam takes a hit on those refunds. Have you ever been to a store and they're like, minimum $5 purchase limit? It's to cover the charges that they have to pay for processing that payment. Steam takes a hit when you refund a game for processing that payment. The payment's just back to you. Now they might do something on the back end and take some money out of the developers. Honestly, haven't looked into it. That would seem really weird if they did, because then the developer, yeah. Anywho, not going down that rabbit hole right now. Like, this is the gold standard of what a gaming library should be. And regardless of what Gruesome Newsome here thinks he can force all these companies to do, Steam is S tier out of everyone. And I dare somebody to find better, even with the always online garbage. Yes, there's technically offline mode, but it's still there. It still exists. Steam is what libraries need to be if they're going to sell you copies of games. But I would love to hear everybody's thoughts in the comment section. While you're there, make sure you smash that like button, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share this one out, guys. And until the next one, be easy like sleazy.